Good morning, everyone. I'm Yaz Jaffa. I'm the co-founder of JJCFinTech. I'm lucky to have spent 20 years of my career building RegTech solutions for the industry, some of which have gone on to become de facto standards. And today, I'd like to grab 7 minutes of your undivided attention to share with you one of the best-kept secrets in AML. It's Cerebro, the first ever digital policy brain. So before I tell you exactly what Cerebro is, let me first give you 3 powerful statements about what Cerebro does and can do for your firm. So depending on the size of your firm and your global footprint, Cerebro can reduce your overall cost of compliance by up to 60%. It can also streamline your operations by 75% and reduce your overall risk of exposure by 50%. So how and why? Well, most of your compliance and ops teams are spending anywhere between $350K to $7 million a year building an AML framework that's solid enough. This requires first understanding and interpreting complicated country regs, and that in itself is quite a challenge. To give you an example, the UK FCA guidance materials are about 1,000 pages of text alone. Once they have completed this, they then have to translate these obligations into paper-based policies and procedures for your KYC teams to then operationalize. And this is often done by expensive external consultants. And then the biggest challenge of all is keeping that up to date. No one wants to lose their licenses or the heavy fines that they can get. So over the next 5 minutes or so, I hope to show you exactly how you can reimagine this inefficient and expensive process by applying an engineering mindset to policy management, saving you a lot of cost and a lot of time. So let's dive in. Firstly, I know that this seems like a very busy, heavy, content-rich screen, and I'm not expecting you to be able to read all of this. I can tell you that your teams are probably looking at this level of complex data unstructured every single day. So they will love you for something this simple. So what we have here is a cloud-based solution that brings together 3 core applications: a global obligations register, a policy authoring tool, and a rules repository. Rather than showing you these 3 distinct modules to get individually, I'll show you the power of having them all coexist in one platform. So just a signpost, what you're looking at is an easy-to-use UI, which allows you to surface regulatory data held in your compliance policies, which would be stored in a much more structured database. In the middle section here, if I focus your attention, it's split into 2 screens. The top part of the screen are the risk characteristics that drive the bottom part of the screen. And the bottom part are the requirements needed to satisfy your obligations, which is driven by the underlying rules repository that I mentioned. Are you with me so far? I know it's quite complex. So let's run through a live use case. Here I'm operating as a bank, or say a crypto compliance officer. I'm based in the UK and governed by the FCA. And what I'd like to know is what my obligations are to trade with a small corporate in Belize. So here I've selected the global baseline, which is the UK regs are under. I'm onboarding a new customer. I'm not listed on any exchange. And I'm onboarding a corporate who is based in Belize. Now, on the right-hand side here, it tells me that my policy underlying this rules engine is telling me that this is a high-risk customer, and therefore I must apply enhanced due diligence. Now, if I just pop up this bottom section here, now what you can see here is our unique policy architecture. Here on the left-hand side, what we have is a concept of 9 core themes, all the way from identification and verification, all the way through to governance and control. And then what you have in the middle here are your clauses, nestled underneath neatly those themes, which are repeatable and coded. Over on the right-hand side, I have the data requirements for you to satisfy the obligations that you have on the left. And I also have the evidentiary sources, which are regulatory approved to allow you to evidence the data that you're collecting on your customers. Now, whilst this seems quite straightforward, your teams are building this logic manually in procedural documents and workflow charts, expending a lot of time and effort And for some of the more sophisticated firms out there, you might have a workflow tool that does this for you. But 99% of the time, it's in a black box, and you cannot see the policy underlying the workflow tool. And this is where Cerebro does the clever bit. Not only do we have the country regulations digitally built inside the obligations register straight out of the box, but you can also digitize your own existing policies and author them directly in Cerebro using our Workbench tool. And then once you have your policies in there, you can benchmark them to our standard. I can tell you whether your firms are operating at par with the regulation, above, therefore carrying cost, or below, and where you have an exposure to risk. We also have every element of and every component of our Cerebro tool with lineage back to the actual underlying regulations. So you can see here as an example, proof of existence exists in the HKMA, MAS 626, and the UK JMLSG. I have all the lineage back to the actual section, and if I click, I can even pull up the actual anchor link back to the JMLSG document. Regulators absolutely love this. There are no other tools in the market today that allows you to do this all in one place. Your compliance and ops teams and your tech teams should never fall out of sync again. Did you know that most crypto firms, 86% of them failed their registration license because they cannot prove how they demonstrate the policy all the way through to operations? And with banks that we work with, on average, 72% of duplication has been removed using our policy methodology, and 55% inconsistencies can be removed. Good policy management should not be so complicated. Apply an engineering mindset and unlock those benefits. Reduce your overall risk of compliance, streamline your operations, and control your risk. Thank you very much.